Congressman Darrell Issa joins us now. Congressman, great to have you join me. Thank you for being there.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's been a while, and I'm glad to be back on talking to your listeners.
Couple of subjects. I'm going to come to the IRS in a second, but I want to start with Benghazi because the indictment handed down today against one of the terrorists there. Congressman, do you think you know, I'm not sure you can tell us, but do you think you know what was going on the ground there? Was the CIA involved in the transfer of weapons to insurgents in Syria?
Well, it's not one of the items that we know, although I've seen it on the Internet, too. What we do know is that the ambassador asked for more security and actually got less security, that there were calls for help that were unheeded by any support from outside, including military personnel that were effectively told to stand down when they tried to be part of a relief mission. And of course, Ambassador Rice outright read off of talking points that had to be knowingly false, claiming that there was a video causing this rather than the reality that it was, in fact, a pre-planned terrorist attack on September 11th. What we also know, of course, is they've unsealed an indictment today that covers people who, as far as we know, never left Benghazi, have been sitting having espresso at the coffee shops, and like Osama bin Laden, he was indicted before September 11th, but not taken out when there was a chance to take him out. So we have serious doubts about how real this is versus a possible political decision on the eve of CNN making it clear that efforts to take these people out have been minimal or not at all.
It was the CNN report on Jake Tapper's the lead last week that I'm referring to, that there was a alleged attempted transfer of anti-aircraft missiles and other weaponry to al-Qaeda-affiliated elements in Syria, which would, of course, make this Iran-Contra. Is that going to be a focus of inquiry for the committee, or does that take us into the classified realm that we'll never know what they were covering up?
Well, there's a specific committee chairman, Mike Rogers, who deals with sources and methods and clandestine activities. Our investigation really is about two questions. When you deny an ambassador security he needs, are you just denying it because of gross incompetence, in which case nobody's been fired? You've got to ask why people aren't being held accountable. Or was this a political aim to make it look like the war on terror was over, that it had been won once Osama bin Laden had been killed? And we need to figure out which one of those two occurred, because whether there were, as you've heard, arms trafficking or not would have absolutely nothing to do with whether or not you provide the security necessary for a longtime loyal ambassador who was a specialist in the Middle East. I visited him in multiple Middle Eastern countries over his tenure. He was asking for more security. He was denied it. And ultimately, that becomes the primary scandal in Benghazi, that we know it was wrong to say no to security. It was wrong not to send an effective rescue mission quickly. And it certainly was wrong to flat lie about the cause of this attack for more than a week in a presidential year.
I'll be right back with Congressman Darrell Issa, Chairman of the House Oversight and Governmental Affairs Committee. We turn our attention to the IRS. One more question on Benghazi when we get back. And then Congressman Issa has a piece in the Washington Post today about stonewalling on the IRS scandal, which we want to get to as well. Stay tuned, America. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show. 44 minutes after the America 2, Hewitt, joined by Congressman Darrell Issa, Chairman of the House Oversight and Governmental Affairs Committee, where he's doing a wonderful job pursuing, well, the two biggest stories inside the Beltway when it comes to this administration's malfeasance, the cover-up of Benghazi and the gross abuse of the IRS against conservative groups. Congressman, one more area of inquiry on Benghazi. In that amazing testimony by Mr. Hicks, he testified that Secretary of State Clinton called him at 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was chaos in Tripoli. There'd been an attack in Benghazi. The ambassador was missing. They had axes out. They were destroying the computer disk drives. She talked to him, and then even after news that the ambassador was killed, she never called back. Do you find that extraordinary that she never touched base with her number two again that night?
The lack of direct contact by Hillary Clinton was surprising. You know, what's more surprising, though, is that the president disappeared basically for the entire period of the attack and seemed to check out at a time in which we knew at a minimum that the ambassador was missing, and later, of course, that he was killed. It could have been a Tehran-type kidnapping, or it could have been murder. It turned out to be murder. So both the chief executive and the president and the secretary of state seem to be checked out. And, of course, the former secretary of defense also seems to want to take a hands-off, particularly as to whether or not they should have called on our friends, allies, and NATO forces to be prepared to do something to rescue these people when, in fact, none of that was asked for. And that becomes one of the great questions for men and women listening out there that know that the military tradition is we never leave anyone behind. We will, in fact, go to rescue our people. But in this case, the rescue was really less limited to Acting Ambassador Gregory Hicks's renting aircraft, calling on the Libyans to loan him one, and sending his own resources down. And basically the resources, security resources of an embassy are pretty limited. I certainly think that the former SEALs killed on the roof, defending both that facility and the remaining survivors, need to be commended and remembered, but you still have to say, why weren't there aircraft and capability heading toward them at flank speed? And the next time this happens, can we count on this president and this secretary to actually care about people in harm's way as they're being attacked by al-Qaeda elements?
Well, I hope if and when Mr. Hicks returns, or Secretary of State Clinton returns, former Secretary of State, we spend time on the specifics of that conversation with Mr. Hicks, because I find it amazing she did not call him back.